freeze it, you have a chocolate mousse peanut butter pie or cake, whatever you call it, because it will set up and just a nice option. Okay, so you can do other things with the dough. I can repost that recipe if you didn't see it or don't have it. Okay, question. What makes up a healthy, balanced meal? Where it says diet up there, it should be meal. What do we need to be thinking about when we are creating meals? Okay, we're doing some meal planning now. What are we thinking about?
Some variety.
Okay, variety, yeah. What does that mean? So not just having a bowl of rice?
Yeah, having some protein and some vegetables.
Okay, so really we want the macronutrients included, right? We want some carbs, we want some proteins, we want some healthy fats. So we want macros. So again, that list gives you an example of, so where they overlap, we talked about this a little bit. You can see the overlap. There are specific carbs, and then there are carbs that are also proteins. And then there are proteins that are also fats. Right, you can see that they overlap a bit. Okay, so variety, we want macros. What else? What else makes a healthy, balanced meal?
I usually think color, texture.
So color, definitely, especially with produce, different colors give us different phytonutrients, right? If you think about eating from the rainbow, you're going to get a lot of nutrition. Texture keeps it interesting, right? If all you ever had was blended food, blah, that would be boring, right? You probably wouldn't want to eat it. What else?
Proper ratio.
Yeah, so you definitely want to be thinking of, this is for health, right? Definitely want to be thinking about the ratios of, we don't want to do carb heavy, which a lot of people are, right? So we want good ratio. What else? What about portion? Remember how big your stomach is, right? Portion. And that's where, again, that ratio is important. Proper portion. If you're eating, a cup and a half or 2 cups of food, you don't want 3/4 of it to be starch, right? Too much for your body at one time. So we think about portion. Remember the half cup of carbohydrate? What's the serving of a vegetable?
1 cup, I think, isn't it?
Half cup chopped or 1 cup of greens. So you see what I'm doing? I'm already creating a meal here. We've got half a cup of carb. Choose a carbohydrate. Let's do baked yams because they're healthy. Okay, remember rainbow, so orange, really good for nutrients. We're going to have half a cup of baked yams, or yams of some kind. Okay, it could be baked, could be boiled, could be barbecued if you wanted, but half a cup of yams. We're going to add some vegetables now. Can be separate or together if we're making some kind of, mixed bowl, casserole type thing. We're going to add a couple of portions of veggies, hopefully. So what could we be adding? Non-starchy vegetables. They're not on there, but they're everything else. What could we be adding to our baked yams?
Asparagus.
Asparagus. Yum. How are we going to cook it? Barbecued, grilled, baked, steamed. This sounds like the start of a good salad, right? Doesn't it sound like a good salad? Cubed baked yams, you could bake your asparagus right there along with the yams, take them out part way because they're going to be cooked quicker. Okay, what else? What are we adding to our yams and asparagus? Remember our macros, so we've got a serving of vegetable, we've got a carbohydrate, what else do we need?
Protein.
We need a protein. What are we going to add to this? If we wanted to keep it vegetarian, what could we add?
Beans.
Beans of some kind. Legumes, chickpeas, open a can, or cook down some lentils, right? We could quinoa or whole grain rice, could be again the base of a salad. A little bit of protein. Or we could go animal, right? What would make a good addition to yams and
Chicken.
asparagus? Chicken. Yep. Again, baked, pan fried, grilled, chop it up into cubes, add it to our salad. Okay, what's missing?
Fats.
Fats. What could we add?
Salad dressing, avocado.
Yep, avocado, dressing of some kind. If you're baking your vegetables, you can probably bake it in oil, right? Adding a little bit of oil. Okay, so what else? If we wanted to add some greens to this, we could add either sauteed, maybe Swiss chard, spinach, kale, or keep it raw as a base and throw the rest on top. We've just created a very healthy meal. Right? Simple, whole ingredients. And then of course, whatever seasonings you like. It could be fresh herbs, could be some kind of mix that you choose. A little bit of sea salt is not a bad thing. If you need some spice, add some chilies, that kind of stuff. So really simple way of thinking about food. Preparing, all it is the chopping. So maybe you've done that in advance, right? You've chopped up some vegetables in advance, they're already in your fridge. All you have to do is pull them out, stick them in the oven, cook. You have to cook your chicken anyway. Okay, so simple. And even simpler, keep it vegetarian, open a can of beans, rinse them off, add them to the salad. These could also all be individual on your plate, if you prefer that. You have a portion of starch from your yams, you have some wilted greens or cooked asparagus on the side, or a raw salad on the side, and you have your cooked chicken on its own. So if you started with that plate and you had leftovers, then throw it all into a bowl and create a salad. Right? Go one step further. For lunch the next day, you can use all those same ingredients, make it into a wrap. Right? Buy some tortilla wraps or pita, stuff it into pita. Okay? Simple. Healthy food, easy options. So it's just thinking that through a little bit. So that sort of cheat sheet gives you, some ideas about this is what healthy meals should look like. What else makes our meals healthy? So having both plant-based and animal proteins, right? So we're not just eating all animal. You could eat all plants, that would be a choice, but so we're not just having all animal. So plant and animal proteins. And also a good mix of fresh versus processed, right? So again, the goal is more of the fresh. Slowly we start to change from highly processed to more fresh whole food. that makes up healthy meals.
You also want variety in your carbs. You're gonna want grains and veggies.
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. So the carbohydrates that are listed on the far left, those are mostly starch or sugar. Okay, so they're going to give us a lot of starch or sugar. Where it says vegetables, that one can be all the rest. Those are all the non-starchy ones. A whole list of other.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that makes up healthy meals?
Peanut butter cookies.
Peanut butter cookies. We can pass those around again, yes. There's also, think this through, cooked versus raw. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff out there about raw food diet. Everyone familiar with the raw food diet? Okay, my challenge with a raw food diet is that two things. One, if you don't have a very good digestive system, you are not processing raw food, right? It's very hard, especially plants, very hard for your body to break down if your digestion's not working very well. So you can put all the raw food into your body that you want to, you're gonna be really uncomfortable because you're not, your body's gonna be bloated and gassy and not able to process and absorb properly, okay? So that's one of my issues with raw food. But also, a lot of plants get more nutrition in a cooked state. So I'm going to talk greens, for example. Sure, raw salad is great, lettuces and spinach and all those things. But certain things like spinach, they have iron that's locked inside and needs to be wilted or steamed or cooked in some way to release it. So again, Popeye was eating spinach for, strength and iron, but he was eating cooked spinach out of a can, right? It's been cooked. He wasn't chowing down on big bowls of raw spinach. So there's nothing wrong with spinach salad. I'm just saying, cooked versus raw. Sometimes we get more nutrition, different nutrients out of cooked tomato product versus raw, right? So things to think about. And also, we talk about digestion next class. Raw food, hard to digest. Okay, same with animal proteins, hard to digest. Okay, so that's why we want that variety. Isn't just about macronutrients, it's about types of foods as well. We want variety. Okay, so let's plan some meals. So let's plan some dinner meals, since dinner is the big meal. Let's spend some time planning some meals out. Okay, let's share something that we already do. It can be a recipe, it can be, complex or simple. Okay? Everyone have a recipe that they or thing that they do for dinner somewhat regularly? Yeah? Maureen?
Pork tenderloin and, a potato and a salad.
Okay, so grilled, pork tenderloin, or baked?
Yeah, baked usually, and then I'll
Okay.
bake either a potato or a sweet potato or yams, and then
Okay,
have a raw salad on the side with carrots and celery and lettuce and dressing.
okay. So pretty basic. So that's standard meal. Animal protein, some kind of starch, extra vegetables. Okay, very standard. You can swap out any of those ingredients for other things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I do the same as you do, then the next night if there's leftover pork, then I do a stir fry, and it's just stir fry and maybe a lot of rice on the side.
Okay. Okay, so leftovers, excellent. Planning another meal from leftovers. Perfect. Jenny, what's a common dinner for you?
Fish,
Okay, so what kind of fish and how are we cooking it?
We get free fish.
Okay, free is good.
This is our last year. So it'll be whitefish or it'll be
Okay.
salmon of some sort.
Great,
So it's usually fried, just till it's cooked, and
Okay.
then we'll have a carbohydrate and a vegetable
Okay.
and or a salad.
okay,
And next day it's fish salad or sandwiches.
okay. So again, very basic, same idea, animal protein with some kind of, yeah, carbohydrate, starch, and vegetables. Okay? Kathy, what's something for you?
Just as an example, something like steak with potato salad and salad, like a green salad.
Okay? So steak, yeah, so how are you gonna cook it? Be aware again with red meat, it does have saturated fat even, so when you're choosing red meat, you're looking for loin, which typically means leaner. Okay, so if you're choosing a red meat, you want loin in the word, type of red meat it is. Or you can choose bison as an option, it's an alternative to beef, cow. So loin in the type of meat is leaner. So same with pork. If it says loin in the type. Okay, and we want a smaller portion of beef if we can. So smaller, what fits in the palm of your hand is typically the portion size. Jill?
I'm just gonna share this because we've been doing this for years. I will buy a steak that, you know, a typical man would think is a portion.
Yeah.
Let's, you know, stereotypes. I'll buy that for 3 or 4 people. Cook the one steak, that's it. Slice it thinly, so the cut, I mean, still wanna buy a loin, but it could be a lower cut.
Yes.
Once you've sliced it thinly, you've done most of the work of the chewing, so everything tastes really, is soft,
Yeah.
and then you only get like 3 or 4 thin slices, so, and
Excellent.
it gets piled on a plate, so it doesn't look like less
Sure.
than it is, and it's saving money and eating less red meat
That's
as a
an
result.
Awesome way of doing it.
Always,
Absolutely.
always do
I
that.
do exactly the same thing. So yes, buy a piece, doesn't matter, you know, whatever you choose, cook it, and yes, slice it in thin slices and then portion it out. Perfect. Yep, saves money, less red meat. And then you're gonna have other, yeah, good, that's awesome. I know with a lot of people that I've worked with, including myself, red meat sits in your, it's a hard protein to break down for your body. It sits in your gut for a long time. Okay, so smaller portions. So this is where, really think about the size of your stomach, right? Smaller portions of things that are harder to break down. Don't let your body have to work really hard to deal with this stuff. So yeah, a smaller portion of something that's harder for your body to break down is a good thing for your body generally as it processes food, which is good. So potato salad, store-bought? Okay, so we do know that when we buy things like that from a grocery store, probably the deli department, yeah. Okay, so it's not the healthiest, right? Potatoes as a whole are not the healthiest, but it's gonna have things added to it, higher in fat or less healthy fats. So what do?
Eat less of it.
Eat less of it. Yeah, smaller portion and bigger portion of other, if you're gonna have other vegetables with your salad, bigger portion of something else. So again, you don't have to eliminate everything, and you can certainly buy those processed foods from the grocery store. We just eat less of it. Definitely think about your portion rule there, right? And maybe we're not doing it every day, right? So slowly we make changes. Homemade potato salad is amazing. You control what you put in it, but it's also work. So again, buying something from a grocery store is fine. We just need to be aware of what's in it and how much we put into the body. Right? So, Sheila, so steak, so another meal option for you? No idea?
We have tacos regularly, so,
Okay.
sometimes it's a leftover protein, or so your roasted chicken or your fish, or cook up some ground beef, corn tortillas, lots of veggie fillers, salad, a little bit
Awesome.
of cheese,
Good.
avocado.
Sounds great. Again, lots of variety there, easy, simple ingredients. Yeah, can you be using leftovers? That's where, shredded or bags of lettuce or cabbage or, those types of things, really simple, right? Buy them, pay a little bit more money for it, but that's okay. Add them to your tortillas. So small ones, big ones.
Little ones, best place to get tortillas in the neighborhood is El Camal down on Winston. So you can get a
Oh, yes.
package of 60 for $5.
Awesome.
You know what I do with
10
those
cents a
then?
tortilla.
That's
I
great.
divide them up into 10s.
Yeah.
And wrap them, and then freeze a lot, so then you just take
Great.
out 10,
Yeah,
and that's dinner.
excellent.
What's
That
it called?
idea.
It's called El Camal. It's down on Winston, so you know where
Oh
government.
yeah, I know where that is.
So you know where Costco is down in
Yeah.
government.
Just past
Carry
it.
on, it becomes Winston, and
Yeah.
it's on the side of the train tracks.
It used to be the bread and bun factory or
No,
something.
that's still there.
And
There's
was
still,
that
there's
still
still
there?
a pita factory, there's
Okay.
still a bunch of other things.
Okay.
So as you go up the hill, it's there on the train track side, so you're going up the hill on your left.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
Yeah, best deal.
So yeah, so the smaller one's much better because we control the portion, and try and focus on one in terms of portion, right? So we have to watch our portions. Focus on one, fill it with lots of stuff, right?
Or you leave it open and you use your knife.
Yeah, and exactly. So you get everything, but yeah, you're eating it like more of a sit down meal versus wrap. Perfect. Tacos are great. So what else could we add? What else could we do with tacos? Sorry, what do you put in your?
Oh,
You
the ground beef,
Ground-
let's say,
okay.
ground beef, lots of onions in the mix. and
Yeah, so you're
peppers and-
making some kind of ground meat, which would be great. Turkey and chicken would work just fine. What else? What could we put in tacos? Fish? Fish tacos?
Fish,
Shrimp?
beans.
Shrimp, beans, yeah. Doing Mexican, if you're doing Mexican themed, you can buy refried beans. Now, be careful, when you look at the can, there are different types. You don't want the stuff, refried beans with a bunch of fats added, right? You can actually get beans that are just beans and a little bit of salt, right? You can also make them yourself. Literally, open a can of black beans, mush them up a bit, throw them in a fry pan for a few minutes. That's it. Add some, that's okay. Add some seasoning to it, whatever you like. Right? Simple to make. Okay? Okay. Terry, what's a dinner option?
Barbecue chicken thighs, kale salad. Sometimes a carb, sometimes not.
Okay. Excellent. Chicken thighs, not as lean as breasts, but more flavor, juicier typically, right? As long as we're not overindulging in the thigh, again, it's got more fat. There's nothing wrong with chicken thighs, and they're also cheaper than breasts. That's great. So, a comment about the starch at dinner. This is where you can eliminate starch. We are used to eating lots of starch, right, at dinner time. That's this classic potato, rice, pasta meal. This is when your body doesn't need it, right? So think about what your body is preparing to do after dinner.
So you should have your starches earlier in the day versus
Yes.
at night.
Yes. So your body's preparing to sleep. We don't have a huge energy need while we're sleeping. I mean, your body does a lot of amazing things while you're sleeping, but it doesn't need sugar energy that you're going to get from carbohydrates. So if you put a lot of starch in your body later in the day and you're not burning it off, what's happening to it?
Storing it.
It's storing, because that's what your body does, right? Remember, we have this amazing fat storage ability, but we don't need it. We needed it 15,000 years ago. We don't need it today. So we already have in our fat cells lots of energy waiting to be used. So all carbohydrates do later in the day, not a lot of it's being used, is creating more of that stored energy. Okay, so less starch later in the day, more starch earlier in the day. That's a hard one for a lot of people because they're used to having the starch with the dinner meal, right? So still have it. That's where that half cup portion is really important. Even smaller than that if you can, right? Still enjoy some of it, but enjoy some of the other, like especially this time of year, you know, vegetables, salads, grilled vegetables, I mean, you can fill up your entire plate and you would not have a carb impact because they're of what's in them.
And you can grill almost anything.
Yeah. This is the only time that I say go ahead and eat your corn on the cob because it's good. It's very good this time of year. Grilled with a little bit of butter and maybe seasoning if you like that. Corn, again, this is my opinion, it just doesn't give us enough nutrition for what it is, and it is processed into sugar. So it really doesn't do a whole lot for us, but it tastes good. So have some corn on the cob. So yeah, grilled vegetables instead of a starch. The little baby nugget potatoes, this time of year again, less starch. They haven't had enough time in the ground to grow and produce starch like a bigger potato. Have those versus anything else. Have a yam or a sweet potato versus a white potato.
Those, I think they're called creamery potatoes.
Yep.
In the package, so those are also
Small.
lower in starch?
Yeah, they still have starch. All potatoes are starch. There's just less of it because they haven't been allowed to mature enough, right?
And more
They're
peel.
tiny. Yep. They're tiny. So less starch for your body to deal with. And again, we just need to watch the portions. There's nothing wrong with some potatoes. It's just the portion that you have to be aware of. Lots you can do with leftover grilled vegetables. So, grill a bunch of vegetables for your dinner meal, you have leftover. The next day you could create some kind of egg scramble with them, throw them into the pan. You could also make some kind of bowl, right? So if you had cooked rice or quinoa, some kind of grain, veggie noodles as the base, throw some more grilled vegetables on top of that to create some kind of bowl. You could make a yogurt-based sauce if you wanted to. Okay, any other thoughts about dinner? So we're sort of in the wrong time of year for it, but using your slow cooker, making casseroles in bigger, one pot, right? Everything goes in, soups, stews, jambalayas, those kinds of things. You make more, right? So you put everything into one pot, or if you're using a slow cooker, and you create a bigger amount, so you have lots to leftover, right, to freeze or use for other things. Right, does anyone do that? Bigger portions using your slow cooker. The other thing I like about slow cookers is that, especially if you're out of the house during the day, is that you can prepare your meal the night before, dinner meal, put it in your slow cooker bowl in the fridge. In the morning, pull it out, set it, and then when you get home, you have dinner. So you can cook anything in a slow cooker. It's just a heated appliance, right? You can actually poach chicken in liquid in a slow cooker versus doing. So if you're looking for shredded chicken, right? So lots of things we can do with shredded chicken. Poach it in liquid, and then use your forks and pull it apart. Really easy. Flavor, right? So you want to infuse, especially if you're using chicken breast, you want to infuse flavor if you can. Okay, so let's talk, any other thoughts on creating healthy meals? So the next step that you would be doing is that you're planning when you're going to sit down with your planner for the week and plan out some of those
We
dinner.
want to eat, we just talked about
Just wanna eat.
Let's skip it, let's go straight to eating.
And the easiest thing that you can do for yourself is if you start thinking about meals that are simple, that you can chop and prep one time, right? So if you decided, what's the meal that we used? The yams with the asparagus and the chicken. If you decided you're gonna chop up yams, because it takes time, right? You're either gonna peel them or wash them really well, and then you have to chop them. You have to decide. You could chop extra. You're already there chopping, right? You could chop extra, put it in a container in the fridge to use the next day, throw it into something else. Or cook a whole bunch, right? And then fridge or freeze for another use. You're already chopping. This is the thing about food prep. Talking about food prep, think it through. Again, if you're chopping something, chop more. You can always use it. If it's something that you can actually eat raw, so if you're making grilled peppers, chop more. You can always eat raw peppers. You can always chop them and throw them in salad, right? You can always make a stir fry if you have them in the fridge already there. However you want to store them for a few days, they're fine, right? Anything that you're chopping, always think, chop more. Or have it planned out that you're going to do 2 recipes at the same time. That's the only way that I cook, is I'm making 2 things at the same time. They have similar ingredients and then I add, whatever else is necessary. I usually have something on the stove that is going and something that's going in the oven, because I'm already prepping, right? I don't have a lot of time either. I want to make sure that I'm following all of this and I'm making it easy for myself, okay? Another easy thing for yourself is that you're buying your produce already chopped. It's an option. You spend a little bit more. So Costco is an example of that. You can buy a large bag of already chopped up broccoli. It's an option. I don't like to tell people to go and buy chopped broccoli unless you are really, really pressed for time. Because there's such amazing produce that's just from the farm that we can enjoy. However, if you buy it and it sits in your fridge and every week the same thing happens, it goes in your recycle bin.
You may as well spend the extra.
You may as well spend, yeah. If that happens to you, if there's certain vegetables that happens, certain produce that it happens, then think about how do you get that vegetable into your body in a different way. So frozen vegetables are certainly an option as well. Quite often they are flash frozen, right? So they are picked and usually within the same day they're processed into pieces and frozen. So you lock in some of the nutrition, but you lose the freshness. You lose some of the enzymes that we get from eating fresh. Okay? So frozen is an option too. Again, this time of year.